In typical Cleveland fashion, whenever anything good happens, of course, the conspiracy theorists have to come out and play. So let's dispel some of them. As you've heard by now, Mike Vrabel has been hired as a personnel consultant for the Cleveland Browns. And this is fantastic news. It is an amazing addition to this staff. How often in NFL history do you get a former coach of the year and someone who was just coaching last season on the staff of a serious contender the following season? Not very often, and it is very good. But of course, people believe that this is Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Barry pulling the strings in the background, Paul Podesta, all the puppeteers, preparing to fire Kevin Stefanski mid-season if things don't go right, so they can promote Vrabel from within. And I think that that is absolute lunacy. Not that he wouldn't be a good head coach, not that he wouldn't be a good head coach of the Browns, but Kevin Stefanski is coming off of a coach of the year season. Also, they will not promote someone from a personnel consultant to the head coach mid-season. They would not overpass Jim Schwartz, who's going to start having head coaching calls in the upcoming year if they continue to have the defensive dominance that they had last season. Also, Mike Vrabel is not going to want to do that. That will look very poorly on him if he gets brought in a kind of charitable situation where they're saying, hey, you didn't get head coaching looks, why don't you come on, be a part of our staff, keep your feet wet, keep your name in the cycle for next year. He's not going to backstab Stefanski or Jim Schwartz like that after they bring him in, because both of those guys would be getting burned in that scenario. That really would screw Vrabel long term, who has years and years and years and years and years of coaching left in his career. The next job that Vrabel takes, he's going to want a fresh start. He's going to want more say in the front office in terms of personnel, but he also might want to make the jump to Ohio State. We all know Ryan Day is on the edge of getting fired. A couple bad losses, especially a Michigan loss this upcoming year. He is gone, and Vrabel will get that call. So all of that to say, I think that this conspiracy theory that they're bringing in Vrabel just in case Stefanski can't have a continual good season heading forward is just absolutely nuts. I don't buy into it whatsoever. This needs to be looked at as what it is. An amazing opportunity to continue to develop the leaders on this team, the young players on this team, and the overall mindset of this defense. In case you're too young, Mike Vrabel was one of the stalwarts of the best defenses of the early 2000s. He has 3 Super Bowl rings. He was carved in stone underneath Bill Belichick and is truly a man's man. I think that his kind of attitude pairs perfectly with Jim Schwartz, and he will have so much to share with guys like Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, JOK, Grant Delpit, all of those people, and hopefully the young linebacker that they draft in the 2nd or 3rd round. And I'm praying that it's Jeremiah Trotter Jr. But regardless, he will have so much to offer this team. But what will he be doing before we get too far ahead of ourselves? He was hired as a personnel consultant, and we should note that Vrabel hired Jim Schwartz for the same position after Jim Schwartz had been dealing with some health issues and whatnot, and Schwartz shared what that role actually was. He said that it was hands-on, he worked as a mentor, not just for players, but for coaches as well, and he was an extra set of eyes. So what that probably means is, who do we like in camp? Who can help propel this team forward? We're facing a certain team this upcoming week. Who gives us the best chance in terms of mismatches, in terms of combating their scheme? He was also there to help the coordinator, so he would give suggestions, but what he says is not law. They're just suggestions, and as Schwartz pointed out, he had to be okay with those coaches not taking his suggestions because they were just that. And finally, he was there to assist the position coaches. And positional coaches are so important in the NFL. There's still so much development that has to be done with young players and even older players. There's still so much to share. So when you have a guy who was successful, highly successful in the NFL coming in, he's going to be able to share and shed so much with the defensive line, the pass rushers, the linebackers. So in general, that is what we can expect with this Vrabel job. He's not going to be up there being a scout. This guy's going to have his hands in the dirt. Even when he was a head coach, he'd be lined up with his defensive linemen, playing the mock O linemen, giving them looks so they could work their pass rushing techniques. He's going to be an animal at these practices, and he's going to add another dimension to Myles Garrett, to Zadarius Smith, like we mentioned, Obo Okoronkwo, Alex Wright, a young guy who made a lot of strides last year, but will have another dedicated body there watching him and coaching him up. I honestly think that this is even greater than any of the free agency pickups that have happened, and we just did a video about that a couple days ago, so you can go check that about everyone that the Browns have picked up so far, and I liked a lot of it. A lot of people are upset being like they haven't done anything. I think they've done a significant amount, but this hire of Mike Vrabel supersedes all of that because coaching is so important. We saw the jump that the Browns made just by bringing Jim Schwartz in, and of course the defensive tackles, but it was more so Schwartz in his scheme. So what can Vrabel do to add that extra little bit, to help the mentality of this team on the road where they struggled so much last year? I believe that we're going to see a jump in productivity in the way that this team plays and their mindset in general, and Vrabel will just be there kind of hiding in the shadows as it goes on. Vrabel has so much experience. He's been a linebackers coach at Ohio State. He's been a defensive coordinator. He's been a head coach. He worked with Jim Schwartz for 2 years in Tennessee, so it's going to be a seamless transition. And in the same way that we saw the Browns defense change their attitude, Myles Garrett grew up so much. This team just played so much more aggressive and downhill. There is going to be a new edge with Vrabel. So I love this hire. I think it is amazing. People should not be looking at it like this is just a power struggle waiting to happen, because it is not. Vrabel is not coming in trying to steal this job. He's going to get more opportunities, and hopefully after next year we can keep him in the state of Ohio and he can take over at Ohio State. Because on a completely side note, I know we never talk Buckeyes here, but I have no faith in Ryan Day whatsoever. I think he's a complete fraud, but that's a video for another day. So thank you guys so much for checking in on this video. This is a members only video. It's our first one. So if you're watching this, thank you so much for joining the members channel. I really appreciate it. It's going to help us level up everything so much with what we're doing. I already like to think that we have some of the best production quality in terms of NFL and football YouTubers on the internet. So much more to come. Really, guys, this is like helping me make this my full-time thing, because I want this to be my full-time thing. I want to pour so much more effort and time into this, so I appreciate it very much. Please share it with a friend, get them to join the Optimistic Fan Club. If you have comments, drop them below, things that you want to hear about, and we will see you in the next one.